2018. Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
You got it? Yep. All right. You got the show? You see us and all?
Most incredible election year ever.
You see me?
This is from Team Newark.
Where you at there? Eric Dawson?
Who couldn't say it? But we're just gonna let the song do it. Now listen to the lyrical miracle, Mr. Empirical scheme, sink ships. Now our city's on critical condition. What's your mission? Love got you elected, then you reject the entire city. You and the DJ MIDI got our brick city, siren city on fire. Cause somebody don't know who to hire, but you aspire to get re-elected. You disrespected and neglected. Our democracy was stolen from you and me, the taxpayers. Once upon a time, we thought we were the mayors, but come to see shortly and clearly it was about them ends. Nepotism, cronyism, patronizing friends, loving hip-hop, the ratchet don't stop in midi hall. Mad murders going down, y'all. 24 hours apiece with straight weak financial thieves. Got no guns, rock the streets, and any critiques turns into a major beef. Erroneous belief that you gotta be the chief, and anyone who feels the need to challenge how you mismanage the cabbage, their jobs get ravaged. No severance package, straight savage. Them rock boys just don't play fair. Lock you out your office and they won't care. Yeah. Now check it. Now chicks hopping out to federal time, but we should turn a blind eye and pay it no mind. Not the block's hot, jokers wildin' like they Scarface. It wasn't like this back when Booker was in office. Mission unaccomplished, like excellence demolished in 22 cycle. Phased out all that you promised with a lawlessness. The greatest pretender, broken-hearted amnesia can still remember when you wasn't corrupt. Just look at you be instead of locking down the revolution.
So you never saw it on
keys to
Facebook?
the city.
That's what I was asking.
Crime is down, jobs are up. Not cool. We used to fight for schools, but you don't remember that. And we don't remember you. Immaturity, stress the employees, passing people on the street. At least speak a lesson learned. Don't ever claim a hero, ever, before you discern. Doing right by the people just ain't on the menu. Holding grudges toward folks who took 20 years to elect you, Mr. Mayor. Now we know that was bad, but you don't get a city back like that. This ain't Gucci, y'all. People gotta get involved. Changing the lens for 2018, y'all. Believe that. Silver bullet, and I'm out. Tasha, bless this mic.
Fresh for 2018, you suckers.
Alright, I'm gonna play that whole thing over again. So that's what I'm saying. When I ask you, I need to know if we're on Facebook. I care less about YouTube.
got it.
聞こえますかマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイクチェックマイ mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check.
It's 2018. Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Okay, it's trying to come up. There you go.
No. I just deleted it because you
Most
said no.
incredible
But it was on again, going off.
election year ever.
Come on.
This is from Team Newark. Who couldn't say it? But we're just gonna let the song do it. Now listen
it's
to the
on.
lyrical,
It went
miracle,
on and it went
Mr.
off. You just something
Empirical
went on
scheme, sink
and then it
ships.
went
Now
off.
our city's on critical
Whatever you do.
condition. What's your mission? Love got you elected, then you reject the entire city. You with the DJ MIDI. Got our brick city, siren city on fire. Cause somebody don't know who to hire, but you aspire to get re-elected. You disrespected and neglected. Our democracy was stolen from you and me, the taxpayers. Once upon a time, we thought we were the mayors, but come to see shortly and clearly it was about them ends. Nepotism, cronyism, patronizing friends. Loving hip hop, the ratchet don't stop in MIDI hall. Mad murders going down, y'all. 24 hours apiece. With straight weak financial thieves. Got dough while guns rock the streets, and any critiques turns into a major beef. Erroneous belief that you gotta be the chief, and anyone who feels the need to challenge how you mismanage the cabbage, their jobs get ravaged. No severance package, straight savage. Them rock boys just don't play fair. Lock you out your office and they won't care. Yeah. Now check it. Now chicks hopping.
聞こえますか？マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、マイクチェック、
It's 2018. Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Most incredible election year ever. This is from Team Newark. Who couldn't say it? But we're just gonna let the song do it. Now listen to the lyrical miracle, Mr. Empirical. Scheme 6 ships, now our city's on critical condition. What's your mission? Love got you elected, then you reject the entire city. You with the DJ MIDI. Got our brick city, siren city on fire, cause somebody don't know who to hire. But you aspire to get re-elected. You disrespected and neglected. Our democracy was stolen from you and me, the taxpayers. Once upon a time, we thought we were the mayors, but come to see shortly, and clearly it was about them ends. Nepotism, cronyism, patronizing friends, loving hip-hop, the wretched don't stop in Midi Hall, mad murders going down, y'all, 24 hours apiece, we're straight weak, financial thieves, got dough while guns rock the streets, and any critique turns into a major beef, erroneous belief that you gotta be the chief, and anyone who feels the need to challenge how you mismanage the cabbage, their jobs get ravaged, no severance package, straight savage, them rock boys just don't play fair, lock you out your office and they won't care, yeah, now check it, now chicks hopping out to federal time, but we should turn a blind eye and pay it no mind, not the block's hot, jokers falling like they Scarface, it wasn't like
Nieves.
Can't hear you, bro.
Butchie Nieves. You can't hear me either?
Nah, I will hear you better. Yeah. Nah. Yep.
Okay. Everything is good?
Perfect.
Okay. Today is election day.
Ooh.
Yeah.
This is the Eric Dawson Radio Show, 95.1 FM, RTH 2000. Again, today is election day. And, I'm here with Butchie Nieves, and I got Maurice Clark. And Maurice, I think it's going to be that mic or this mic. You're going to have to pick. You're going to take 4? There we go. All right.
Pull it.
Yeah, just pull the mic towards you. No, not from the mic, from the arm. There we go. All right. So today is election day in the city of Newark, in the city of Irvington, in the city of Orange, but we've been focusing primarily in the city of Newark right now because it is the epicenter of what takes place not only in Essex County, but in the state of New Jersey, and it ripples nationally. So we've been talking about this for quite some time now, and here we are. We were supposed to have Councilwoman Cheneyfield in today. I want to let everybody know that she called me this morning and said she wasn't coming in because she was getting phone calls from news stations.
Absolutely.
And I think that we're doing a great job here at 95.1 FM, the Eric Dawson Radio Show. My feeling was that I understood that she needs to hit those news stations as much as she can as well.
Absolutely.
Right. So Butchie, man, what do you hear?
Well, I went to vote this morning at 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I was the only one there at that time voting, which was very interesting. One thing that I experienced this morning, because I'll be honest with you, I want Donna Jackson to win. So I went and did the whole process of who I voted for mayor, who I voted for at large, and then the write-in was a very interesting piece that I experienced, and I think I want to share with the audience, listening and viewing audience, and that is that once I hit the 3, they're already in the ballot, and when I went to the write-in, right, I pressed write-in, and the light, an X popped up, but now where do you write it? I had to look all the way down to the bottom of the machine where you see a keyboard, and the keyboard is very small, but the keyboard is there. And at first I was a little bit dumbfounded. I said, wait a minute, you hit the X, and what goes next? Until I started looking until I looked where you would never expect, where a little skinny keyboard was there. But once I found it, I typed in Donna Jackson, then I hit the red button, okay, and I cast my votes. I'm sharing this news because there's a lot of folks throughout the city of Newark that, although Donna Jackson was, in my opinion, played dirty when it came with her petitions, right? She still has an ability she still is a potential contender. And all it is for something that has never been widely publicized or even people even thought about it, which is you have an option to do a write-in candidate. I commend Donna for coming up and still standing up to the fact that you should be a write-up candidate. I know that write-up candidate is very hard because I've been voting all my life, and this is the first time I've done a write-in candidate. But I'm sharing it this morning because I think folks need to know that that is the other option that we have as citizens, that if you don't agree with the candidates that are being supplied to you, you have the right to do a write-in candidate, and my choice was Donna Jackson.
I had the same choice. I definitely wrote down his name in. I don't think she's a potential contender. I think she is a actual contender.
Oh, look at that.
Her years of dedicated service and just being an outspoken individual and caring about the city, which is something that actually we lack nowadays. And for her to keep that attitude and that mindset and that type of spirit, I think that's something that we should bring to City Hall. And
Absolutely.
I think people will get out and do the right thing today. But I do want to say, if you don't vote today, you have no right to complain going forward, because this is where it counts and this is where it matters at.
Absolutely, you know, in the last mayoral election, if I'm not mistaken, I think we broke the 45,000 in total of every candidate, 45,000 people with a register of over 200,000 people registered to vote here in the city of Newark. I think 45,000 voters is it's a problem. There's a real problem. One hope that I'm having is that there's a new energy in the air throughout the city with candidates, viable candidates, okay? With this new energy of, you know, we need to bring something better to the point where...
Better and new.
Better and new, absolutely, but that only happens if folks come out and vote, because you could want better and you could want new, you could want the world. If you don't do anything about it, which is come out and vote, it means nada.
That's why I said what I just said. You know what I mean? We were out. We were in the Westwood. You know, I represented Mecca, and then I was in the South because I represented Terrence Bankston as one of his deputies. And you know, people were saying how they were talking to their friends and their family members, and they said they sitting this one out. But I don't have time. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand why people go ahead and say they're going to sit this one out at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? I hear people complain and I hear people talk and everybody posts and everyone has an opinion, but when it's time to show up and when it actually matters, they get quiet or they freeze.
Well,
that's the issue.
Again, it is really simple, right? I got 26 people out to the polls.
Awesome.
I got 26 people out to the polls. There's no excuse. You know, you know, look, we make excuses about everything except the things that you know that matter to us, right? And so if you're making excuses all the way to the end of the day here, it's because it didn't matter enough to you. The fact of the matter is, you can go and you can knock on doors, you can go and you can drag people, you can, you know, you can do that. You can beg for change. That really is bothering me.
But
yeah, it really is in my ear. You know, but you can do work, and to continue to say, thank you, brother. Yeah, leave that one open, but to continue to say that you know, folks are sitting it out. Well, then go get the next person. Go get the next person. Go get the next person. There are over 300,000 residents in the city of Newark. Go get the next person. You understand what I'm saying? So even Butchie, when you say that, you know, 46,000 people voted in the last election, you have 146,000 registered voters. 146,000 registered voters, right? And so with 146,000 registered voters, and you look, you say less than a third of the people actually came out and voted, right? So you have enough. You have 80,000 people to go and grab, along with the ones who voted before. So there's work, but it requires work. And we got to be willing to work. We have to be willing to work. The price of freedom is not free. And we want, a friend of mine, and I think I've mentioned this before, she's working on her PhD. And her thesis, the title of her thesis is, "Your cheese has my people backed up." See, because the government has done such an awesome job at giving us free stuff to the point that we're so backed up and conditioned that we don't know how to go and fight for ourselves. And we just want the next free thing. In the room. Tissue. We just want the next free thing. And we have to begin to, we look, we got to drag them. We have to look at history. We have to look at what Harriet Tubman said. She said, "I freed 1,000 slaves, but I would have freed more if only they knew they were slaves." So we have to be about the education, right, of the black and brown folks who are under siege right now. And we have to make it our mission to continue to educate them. And we have to be clear that there are people, Butchie, who look like me and who look like you, who are part of the problem. And we don't want to face that. We want to still believe that just because we share the same skin color, that we share the same mindset and the same love for the community. And that's not true. They have infiltrated the walls. And when I tell you in the truest sense of the word, they have ushered in the Trojan horse. They have ushered it in. When we look, just take it north. When black and brown power came into existence in the early 70s, we understood very clearly who the enemy was and what we were fighting against. And that's why we were united as a Puerto Rican and black community to take control of some power so that we can do better for our communities. But the insidious nature of the political machine is that what they do is they come in, much like back in slavery, and I talk about that all the time. Is your headset fine? Okay. We'll try another headset. Give them another headset. You're good?
No, I'm good.
Okay. You know, and you know, what they did in slavery, during slavery, is no different than what they're doing now. Right? Where they knew that they were outnumbered, the slave master, and he knew that if ever those who he was oppressing got together, right, became educated, that they would revolt. And so he knew that he couldn't be out there with them in the fields as they were plotting and planning against him. So he sent people who looked like us. He sent the slaves. He gave them shit under the table, right? Gave them goodies, and then sent them out in the fields to listen to how we were trying to just improve our circumstances, free ourselves. And then they ran back to him and told him what we were doing. So those people who looked like us played a major role in keeping us enslaved. Just look at history. And it's no different now. We're in rooms where you and I are talking Butchie, or you and I are talking Sheila or Maurice. There are folks, man, who are getting 30 pieces of silver to run back and tell how we're planning simply to liberate ourselves. To want better for ourselves. That's all we want. And then you have, I would like to think that they're ignorant.
Of course.
But they're not. They know exactly what they're doing. All of those who are employed by them down in City Hall with six-figure salaries, right? Or those who have contracts, who are going around protecting this lie, protecting those who are destroying our community. And I said this on a previous show. And I challenge those who are listening, and please share this episode. How do you look at a guy who's got $100,000 a year check in his hand, but he's telling you that the other guy has it in for you? You see, he just got paid. He got paid. But we sit and we watch the, folks down there who are employed continue to drive this narrative and continue to enslave us, and we have to do better than that. So I want to welcome Sheila Montague, a.k.a. Silver Bullet, to the show. And guys, I want to tell you, it is a war. And the other side, they're not disillusioned. They understand it's a war. They understand it's a war. I want to read something before you guys chime in, if I can pull it up on my Facebook page very quickly. I posted it yesterday because I thought it was very telling in terms of this psychosis, this dysfunctional thinking, Butchie, that I always say that our community has, right? It says, a man was passing the elephants. He suddenly stopped, confused by the fact that these huge creatures were being held by only a small rope tied to their front leg. No chains, no cages. It was obvious that the elephants could at any time break away from these bonds, but for some reason they didn't. He saw a trainer nearby and asked why these animals just stood there and made no attempt whatsoever to get away. Well, the trainer said, when they are very young and much smaller and more impressionable, we use the same size rope to tie them, and at that age, it's not enough to hold them. Okay, it's not enough to, it's enough to hold them. As they grow up, they are conditioned to believe they cannot break away. They believe the rope can still hold them, so they never try to break free. The man was amazed these animals could at any time break free from bondage, but because they believed they couldn't, they were stuck right where they were. Like the elephant, how many of you Norkers, right? How many of you go through your lives hanging on to the belief that you can't do something simply because you failed to do it before? So, see, there's a conditioning and a belief. And I laid this out to a young man yesterday. I said, you know, Tony Voss up in Irvington beats his chest that he has 90% of the voters who voted for him in the last election going to vote for him again. But I want you to understand, the total number of votes that Tony Voss got in the last election was 1,900 votes out of 40,000 voters. 1,900. So when I tell you a tiny piece of string tied around that elephant's leg and you don't believe that you can move, the tiny piece of string was 1,900 votes. So that leaves 38,000 people the size of a mighty elephant that could change the direction of that town. Let's look at Orange. Dwayne Warren beating his chest, taking 3 government salaries, destroying what's going on in Orange. He got 1,700 votes. That's all he was able to amass. 1,700 votes.
How many registered
Let's take
voters?
how many registered voters in Orange? I think almost 50,000.
I had that many petitions.
17,000. Wow.
Let's take Montclair, Mayor Jackson. 1,400 votes. So these people are running around as mayors of these cities, controlling millions upon millions upon millions of dollars in contracts and jobs, destroying lives of black and brown folks as they kowtow to the political establishment here in Essex County. And they got us tied by a string.
It's amazing.
By a goddamn string.
You know, Eric, you mentioned the black and Puerto Rican community got together to usher the first African American mayor, which was Ken Gibson, right? But what happened when that happened? They eventually, the machine, right, which got beaten at that particular moment, decided to spread their money among the Puerto Rican community and the African American community, and brought their own, like you call it, their own people on their side, their own slaves on their side. That's what happened. That's why we were never able in the 70s to get together and have it under our wing, under our power, because powers to be back then, which are the same powers to be today, right? Just different names. Threw in that seed into our committee and started buying our own leaders to come in with them. Mind you, those leaders fought the machine and brought in Ken Gibson. And those same leaders sold their souls to the machine, which is what's happening right now in 2018. Because I'm a sole believer that as a Puerto Rican male in the city of Newark, we should be leading ourselves. We should have to have no one holding our hand. And I mean no one. And the fact that the strings are being pulled by the county machine, it really, really, really irks me. Because the interesting about the county machine is that they don't live in Newark. They don't give a crap about Newark, okay? They give the corporation all the power, which is the supply, which is what supplies the machine, their money, to be able to put all these billboards and all this TV ads and all this literature out there. That's what keeps us behind. You said something very interesting about that. The string tied to that small elephant, right? And make them feel like you cannot bust from that. We're in that same situation.
We are.
But the way we look at it is, we don't get to eat if we don't do what they want us to do. If we don't act and be like they want us to do, those folks that got jobs and opportunities and senior help and health aids and all that kind of goodies, it gets taken away one way or another. And the funny part is that these are people that look like me, doing that to our people, okay? And the problem that I have is that, like you said, we could bust out all this, because that little string that when you were small, the elephant was small, held you, but that little string is just a mental thing right now. We need to stand on our own. We need to say, yes,
look,
it's time to move
here's
forward.
the reality. Joe DiVincenzo in the last election, and we've got the election today, and we're going to talk about it. But then you have the county election coming up
In November.
Joe DiVincenzo, I think in the last time he ran, got 70-some thousand votes, fewer than 80,000 votes. If you simply count the number of votes that Ross Baraka and Shavard Jeffries got out of Newark alone, they got more than half the total number of votes that Joe DiVincenzo got. Right now, if you count East Orange, Irvington, Orange, you don't even need to go into Essex Fells, Cedar Grove. You don't need to go into Montclair and all these other towns. You could win the county right there. But again, it is that small piece of rope, right, that we have tied around us that believes that it is an insurmountable thing to accomplish voting out Joe DiVincenzo.
Well, how do I look at that? For years and years to come, they have proven that their money power, whether it's actual money, actual contract, actual jobs, actual promises, is more powerful than breaking that little string that you keep on talking about. It's more powerful.
Well, look, what and I posted this on my page, because there are no secrets to how to do it. There really are no secrets. The only question becomes whether or not, when you break through, whether you have the integrity to continue to move in the direction that you started off moving in. Because there is no doubt that enticements will come. They always come. Enticements came to Raz. Enticements came to Corey. Enticements came to Marquise Lewis, which was why I'm so very, very disappointed in that young man. Because when he ran the very first time, he ran against the establishment. And he won. And he won. And then they poured enticements on him.
Big bucks.
Big dollars. Jobs. All kinds of things. And you know what? And this is what they do. They give you things that you are not really qualified to do. They give you a salary that you can't go and earn anywhere else. And so now you're beholden, because you know you can't go anywhere else to make that money. Al-Tariq Kenny knows he can't go anywhere else and make that money. Rahman Muhammad knows he can't go anywhere else and make that money. Marquise Lewis knows he can't go anywhere else. Dashae Carter knows she couldn't go anywhere else to make the money that she made. I can keep going with the names. And at some point, we have to call the names.
Well, you have to. In our platform, if we took this decision, Eric, to do this kind of show, and we're not going to put out names, get out of the room. Because let's be real, where is the damage being done to our community? Because right now, what Roz did to the community is an insult. That you went in there fighting for all of us, and now you became part of the corporation. You became part of that machine that controls us again and again and again. How respectful, what a respect I would have for Ross today had he been running with that same platform that he ran in 2014. What a respect I would have for this man. Why? Because you did it. You were able to accomplish what you said you were going to accomplish in the 20 years that you ran for mayor. okay? And you did it. And today, right now, we will be fighting for him, for whoever was running against him. But it's sad that we have to be here sitting down questioning, Roz, was it that important? Was filling your pockets and your friends' pockets and your family's pocket more important than the mission? Because
What was
Roz,
the mission?
wait.
Go
I
ahead.
need to say, Roz will always be remembered for what he did to the community. He no longer is the mayor of the people. He no longer is the mayor of the activism. He's no longer the mayor of the small person. Now he's the mayor that sold his soul to the corporation and the machine. That's what he will always be known from this point on. How do you wake up in the morning and deal with this? Because me, I'm going to tell you something. I'd rather die fighting for a cause that's real for the community than have to live in the hog over there with all those big houses and everything that he's gonna get from this point on, okay, to be able to say, I did it. You did nothing. And those folks are out there that think that you're rooting for somebody that's honorable. Absolutely not. He spit in all our faces. For the ones that worked real hard for him in 2014, he spit in all our faces. And right now, I would have loved to be sitting right here advocating for Ross Baraka. I would have loved to be the one to say, you know, this man stood up for what we voted for him for, but he didn't. And those folks that he signed up with right now, they're gonna hang him to dry the minute that he decides, well, I don't want to do it this way. He's gone. If he thinks that the maneuver is that you're gonna have your first African American how do you call it, county executive, buddy, you're blind, estás ciego, buddy. That position has already been named, and that name is Aníbal Ramos Jr. That's who's going to be the next county executive. So if Ross think that that's what is going, buddy, they planted it, and you believed it, and you're still chewing on it. I thought you were a lot smarter than
We're ruled
that.
by a king. Right. If you don't see that, then you're not awoke. Right. We got a king downtown. A king. He wants to be the king. He got the English lost the war. We drove them over the seas a long time ago. He wants to be the monarch of this place. He wants to control the entire school system. He wants to control the police force by himself. No police chief, just him and his flunky. That's what he wants. He don't want a school board. He wants him and his flunky running the school board. He wants to privatize the water. He wants to raise your taxes and make you pay because there's urbanites who saying you don't pay enough when most of you pay all of the time and too much. That's what he want to say. He want to do this and beat up our families until we get out of here so they can come and take it from us. But not on my watch. So whatever they can say whatever they want to say, but they ain't gonna never say that I was with them. They can spread all kinds of rumors they want, but they can't never say we ain't fight back. History will never record me as a capitulator. History will never record me as somebody who took the money and turned my head, who stopped speaking loudly, who went with them out of the convenience because they gave me a job or made me feel good, gave money to my church. My family. They'll never be able to say that about me. Until the last days of my life, history will always say I was opposed to these people to the very end, and I'm.
I mean, you keep playing that over and over and over and over again, and it, you know, you don't take my word for it anymore. And how people justify it, because, like you said, Butchie, the things that Raz fought Joe D about, the things that Raz fought the North Ward machine about, the things that Raz fought all of the political establishment about, those people have not changed their tune. So now if they're aligned, you have to wonder, well, who compromised, who capitulated, who gave in, who sold out? Because the machine didn't sell out. And now you got this narrative that's out there, well, he's working with them. He's not working. And I said this to Rahman Muhammad. I said, that's like saying that the slave was working with the slave owner. Just because you saw the fields being plowed and sowed and reaped during harvest, there was no cooperative relationship between the slave and the slave owner. See, and so to believe that Raz is working in a cooperative way, in an equal way with the political machine is folly. And anybody who promotes that nonsense, they're either ignorant to what's going on or they are intentionally misleading the people. And what I would say is this: those who have been in the political game long enough I'm saying that they're intentionally misleading the people. They know that Ras Baraka has been castrated politically. They know that. But what they also know is that as long as Ras Baraka is willing to be used, as long as he's willing to have the political machine have their hand up his ass, moving his mouth, that they're going to be paid and they're going to benefit from it. And so they don't have a problem with that, because those kinds of people, they're just waiting for Raz to get used up and waiting for the next puppet. And then they'll run to the next puppet and they'll try to make their money there too. And in the meantime, see, understand, it is a race for money. It's a race for pension grabbing. It's a race for all of those things. So those guys are looking at counting they're counting the years, they're counting how many pensions they can stack, and they're saying, you know what, by the time these folks find out what happened, we'll be long gone. But I'll give you this too. And I say this, prefacing it again with my understanding of what Mayor Sharp James did for me coming out of school, helping me get my first job. When we look at what's going on in Newark, we can't wipe his hands clean either. But see, that's what we do. We have short attention spans. If you look at the Board of Education, look at the schools. It was Sharp James who sold the schools out, gave the schools to the political powers. You see, it was Sharp James who left us in a financial quagmire that we were in. But you have people who forget that piece of the history. You see, it was Sharp James who kept us from having the very first African-American Essex County executive. Hello. Hello. Because Sharp James believed that he should have been the most powerful black man in the state of New Jersey. So he undermined that campaign. Hello. So there would be no Joe DiVincenzo if it were no Sharp James. Now, anybody who disputes what I just said, call a number 973-672-1271. Anybody who disputes that, there would be no Joe D. See, but as long as there was a Joe DiVincenzo, then Sharp James could reign. Because now we need you, Sharp. We need you to fight against the machine. We need you. 20 years, 36 years total, right, between him being a councilman and being a mayor. So we have to understand that our condition, though we want to continue to point to the white man about our condition, that it is those who have been given to us as gifts, the Sharp Jameses, the Ras Barakas, who have been the Trojan horses, who have been led into our gates. And they unleashed holy hell on the city of Newark. You know, but what we need to do, guys, is the organizations that we create can't be organizations that hinge on a person. And there lies the issue, right? The organization that Ras Baraka built over 20 years hinged on him. So when he turned, the organization fell apart.
Not necessarily.
It fell apart.
You know something, that organization that fell apart, they need to come together individually and vote him out today.
Oh no, I don't disagree with that, Butchie. But I'm saying that, you know, yes, that needs to happen. And we need to continue to encourage people. Go call 10 people right now, guys.
That organization that you said that fell apart, I disagree with you because they still exist. Okay? At this point, the community is the leader. At this point, it's no longer one person. It's no longer Ras Baraka. It's you guys, the ones that helped them get in there. Because there's more of you guys that helped them get in there angry with him than are happy with him.
Oh no,
because the majority of the people that Ras Baraka brought into his administration, they're out of towners. They never did anything. They're not part of the platform. So you guys right now have the power to knock them down. You guys know how to get those voters out. You guys know what to say. You guys know what is the commitment that you got to put in today. So when you say that organization fell apart, I disagree with it. They're still there. They just got to get revved up and make it happen. Because let me tell you something. Raz is only one person, and the 200 or so folks that he got around him, with probably the majority are out-of-towners, okay, cannot compare to the thousands the thousands that were behind Ross Baraka in 2014. And I implore you that you guys gotta rev those machines and make it happen. Get those votes out, because we could sit here and talk all we want, Eric. We could talk about the Trojan horse. We could talk about the biggest failure of Sharp Jane backstabbing Gail Cheneyfield. We could talk about all that. But the time today is to rev up the engine and let them know that you have that fuel inside of you. You have that fire. There's two fire that they have in there. One is to bring in the first African-American woman to be mayor of the city of Newark, and two is to teach Ross Baraka and anybody that thinks like him that you don't do this to the community and think you're gonna get away with it. This is the day. Today is the day to prove everyone that's coming along up the ladder and that's going to be a future leaders. You don't do what Ross Baraka did to our community in the city of Newark. Because right now, the majority of the folks that I talk to, they're fed up with Ross Baraka and his style of administering. I could imagine those folks that helped them get in there, that fought real hard to get them elected, how they're feeling when they got backstabbed. So now it's your turn.
Okay.
Right.
So
let me do this before and then I'm gonna get you in. So real quickly, I meant to do it yesterday and I didn't. I'm gonna break down this computer app or phone app that exists for voting, so everybody knows. And please share this, share it. Damn it, share it. Here's what the app does. Years ago, my dad was one of the first that brought this technology into Newark, where we called it Voter Pro. We would send our canvassers out to go canvass, right? And it would say at the end that you were a committed voter, you were undecided, or you weren't going to vote for us, right? If you were a committed voter, you were put in our database as a committed voter. If you were undecided, you were put in there as undecided. And if you said you weren't going to vote for us, we didn't put you in our database because you weren't going to vote for us. We at the end we had that information, and that's the information that we move forward with the campaign. On election day, what we gave to all of our challengers when they went to the voting booths or voting polls, they had the books of all of the people who had committed to vote for us. That's all, right? And you know, when you walk in to go vote, if Sheila, you went to go vote, right? You write your name in the book, and then the challenger would ask for your name, and the person at the book would say Sheila Montague, and they would give your address. Right. The challenger would look and see, and if Sheila was on our list of people who committed to vote for us, they would just hit a check mark, right? A check mark. Now, that didn't mean when Sheila went into the booth that she actually voted for us, because Sheila could told us that she was going to vote for us, right? But then when she went in the booth, she voted for the other team. All our challenger knows is that the person who said they were going to vote for us showed up at the voting poll and went in the booth and voted. Our challenger didn't know who they voted for, but we marked it down that the person who committed to vote for us voted. We would have people come during the course of the day, and they would collect the sheets. We'd take them back to the headquarters, and we would scan them with a barcode scanner. And all the barcode scanner then said was, Sheila Montague voted today. Who is Sheila Montague? She's a person who said she was going to vote for us. Now, we still don't know if she did. All we know is the woman who said she was going to vote for us showed up at the polling place, and she voted that day. Now, fast forward to now. The technology has changed. So you can have all of that information right on your smartphone. So when Sheila Montague comes into the booth, into the voting poll to vote, the challenger, if they have an app on their phone, and Sheila Montague said that she was going to vote for Team A, when that challenger who's a supporter of Team A sees Sheila Montague, they can just hit a button that says Sheila Montague voted. Again, that's all they know is she voted, not for whom she voted. Now you don't need a runner to come and get a sheet anymore. When that challenger hits it right there, it registers directly in the database simply what? That the committed voter voted. Not who they voted for, but just that the person who said while the canvasser was canvassing, the committed voter said, yes, I'm going to vote for you. Now, we just have to trust that the person actually voted for us, but nobody knows. So I hope that I made that crystal clear to people.
You did.
Nobody knows. Okay? So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Maurice.
Back to what he was saying, I honestly think that had he kept his promise to a lot of these people really wouldn't be saying the stuff that they saying now. I think that they'd be turning a blind eye like the people that's currently working for him. So at the end of the day, it comes down, like I always say, it comes down to your morals. If some people go ahead and he's promised them a job and they got that job, everything that he's doing is not true. You know what I'm saying? And then the other people that's going against them, they are speaking the truth. But sometimes I wonder if those same people got their promises kept to them, would they still be going ahead turning against them? You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times when we are let down and disappointed, then we go ahead and do what's right instead of doing what's right in the first place. So I see a lot of people on the threads that saying certain things, but I'm just here to say, had he kept his promise to y'all and he was doing the stuff he's doing now, would y'all still go ahead and challenge his authority? And would y'all still go ahead and vote for him at this very given time? So that's a question that I want to know, and I invite people to call in and answer that question.
973-672-1271 is the calling number, and 973-677-3753. The other thing, call in if you voted.
Rahman, he kept his promise to you, Rahman.
Yeah. Call in. You don't have to tell us who you voted for, but just want to know that you voted. It's important that you voted. And if you were able to get some people to go out and vote, please call in and let us know that you were able to get that done too. If there's some issues going on, I saw on an earlier post this morning that voting machine wasn't working when some folks went to vote. There are remedies for that. Firstly, you can call the election board, and there's a number. I don't have it offhand, but if somebody could put that number in the thread, you can call the election board. The second thing you can do, never leave the voting poll place without voting. You can cast a provisional ballot, right? So if the machine's not working, they tell you it's not working, tell them you want to cast a provisional ballot. All right? So you can do that. That's the other thing you can do. But this is the importance of having challengers, right? Because the challengers would be talking about that. If you had a challenger at that polling site where where it wasn't working, or if you had poll workers on the outside that were educated about voting, they would be able to talk about all those kinds of things. So anyway, Silver Bullet, what's on your mind?
So, what's that?
Somebody has...
So, the provisional ballot is good, but I always piggyback off the platform of just education. The people must be educated about that really before the day of election. And there's so many people who are not educated on what they should be doing. In many instances, we have voters that are not even aware of who they're voting for. They kind of go in and just vote because they've heard a name before. There are a lot of those instances that occur. And just the educational on provisional ballots. Some of our people don't even know what provisional is. They don't even understand the word, much less that it's an option that can be utilized once you walk into the voting booth. So if they don't get the information ahead of time and they don't know, nobody wants to say, I don't know, what that is. Not many people. So some of them leave disenfranchised. And as you can see on social media this morning, many people were posting about they weren't able to vote. And as we start to increase our audience and people start listening and educating themselves, they'll know that they have options when those instances occur, right? And it's about that collective. Just me, myself, the work that I'm doing right now, supporting Gail, Councilwoman Gail Cheney-Phil Jenkins, I see what a need it is to do that work. And the people that are volunteering to do the work, because see, this campaign is different from the current Baraka administration, because what's going on is you see people working hard, but these people have jobs, they're getting paid, a salary, so they feel committed because their livelihoods depend on it. But in this particular election, people like myself, we're out here working because we're just regular citizens, homeowners in many instances, and people who just want to see change. And we're pushing forward for that change on a volunteer basis. And that's a lot of sacrifice. And I think that's when I walked in, that's what you were talking about, that, freedom is not free, that if you want to be liberated, you have to work. And that work can't happen during election time. That has to be work that's done a lifelong commitment to it. You have to be committed, and the things that I'm doing to help, these things are not anything that I started yesterday, last week, last month. No, we've been working hard ever since the last election, for sure, to make sure that we're organizing people, making sure that they're aware about, and staying updated on, different things that happen politically. And it's kind of hard for people because, when you teach something, you have to have something to attach that to. And it's a new concept, right? And in many instances, people just they become overwhelmed. And that's why you hear many people making the commentary, oh, I'm not political, I don't get involved in that stuff. It's because they don't have something to attach it onto. They don't teach it in elementary schools, right? Only on the cursory level in high schools that they even think about introducing it. And then it's just so watered down and just so, irrelevant.
So here's what I see. There is no true engagement with the person who isn't benefiting directly from politics. Meaning, if you don't have a contract, if you don't have a job with city, state, or county government, those people are kind of left to figure things out for themselves. If there's an election, when there's election, and like you said, Sheila, the folks who are working in Newark, the Board of Education and City Hall is the biggest employer of Newarkers, right? So when you have those two entities employing, well, those folks are motivated to come out and vote for their livelihood. And the question becomes, where's your level of motivation for the community? See, because that's what it comes down to, right? So you'll have people over here who are voting for jobs. Right. They're voting for contracts. And it's self-interest. Let's be very, very, very clear. They're voting for contracts. They're voting for jobs. They're self-interested. Right? And then what we're doing is we're hoping to organize and mobilize a group of people who simply want their streets clean. Right? Who simply want good schools. Who simply want to be able to walk outside without hearing gunshots or having their car stolen or a litany of other things. And so how do you organize and mobilize those people to think more communally?
Right. So you have to talk to people, right, and engage them on conversation regularly. But I just want to make a couple of comments because I see Rahman Muhammad just...
I don't want to make the show about him.
Yeah, I'm not, but I just see a lot of posts coming up on the thread. And like right now, it's a Tuesday, right? It's a work day for most city employees. And there's so much work to do in Newark. And that is one of the things that motivate me to be involved and just work so hard in my community just for free. Because when you see a post about somebody getting shot, when you see a post about somebody getting killed, when you see a post about the homelessness, when you see a post about somebody just getting carjacked, you don't see the people that work at City Hall run into the threads, to include their commentary. But when we're talking about election, now we're talking about their money. Right? And so now they appear and they're talking. We're people. I see people saying, we're victorious. The parents are not victorious that are losing their kids in the street. I don't care if that kid could have been the best kid, he could have been the worst kid. That's still somebody's child. Why is all of this attention not, why do those threads not get spoken to? But we know the answer to the question, right? It's a rhetorical question. But I'm just bringing, acknowledgement to it that, no, everybody is not stupid. And just because we're sitting here talking, there are a lot of people who are not talking. Because real bad guys oftentimes move in silence too. And today, one thing that I just was a resounding consensus here in the city of Newark, people saying commentary such as, right, but not limited to, it's a woman's movement out here. We got this. I heard people say, he has to go. The mayor has to go. I was hearing people say, and this was just this morning alone, people saying that, what is that? You get paid by taxes, Sheila. I can't.
Don't even worry about that. This is about the community.
This one woman, right? She's a preschool teacher. She said to me this morning, and I didn't even know her by name. She called me by name riding around in the car. She said, "Hi, Sheila." So I said, "Good morning." She said, "Listen." She said, "That guy is not going to get back in, and if he does, they cheated."
Right.
So this is the communal conversations that you're referring to, that they don't just go on. These conversations have been going on. These lives lost belong to real people. It doesn't matter how much you say the crime is down. If I feel like I can't go to the
But
park,
at the end of the day, whoever that lady was, she's got to go and get 10 people to go out and vote.
that's exactly
She's
what
got to
she
go
was
and get 10
doing.
people to go out and vote.
She was notifying
Right.
the teachers, notifying parents in that community.
Right.
So
and I'm telling you, right? So in the other point that you made about folks not knowing what a provisional ballot is, I got that. But in marketing, you know, when you walk to the front of the counter and you get ready to pay, and you see cookies and candy and all that stuff, that's where a lot of stores make their biggest money.
Impulse
and you know
buying.
that it's called impulse buying or point of sale purchasing, right? Because you're at the point of purchasing your stuff, and there's something else. You go, oh, let me get that Reese's cup, or let me get that whatever. We need to, hey guys, this is where you have to get involved too. So forget about the fact that you didn't get on a campaign and somebody didn't pay you $150 or $100 or whatever, right? Because if it's all about that to you, then you're really not repping Newark, right? You're not repping the community. You're repping yourself, and let's call it what it is, right? But if you want a better community, you can go to a polling site. And I don't care what team you are on, who you support. Just make sure that there are people at the polling site who can educate the voter. So I don't care who you're there for. Just educate the voter. And so at the point of sale or the point of voting, if a voter, and then just ask the question, hey, were you satisfied when you went in? Did you get an opportunity to vote? Was there any problem with the machine? And now the person's going to answer, no, I got a chance to vote. Everything was fine. Okay, fine. Somebody walks out and says, you know, I went inside and then I couldn't vote because they said X, Y, and Z. Well, now if you're educated, you can tell the voter what to do. So again, these are things that we can take control of. We can be empowered to do. We don't have to be that elephant that has that tiny string tied around its leg, believing that we can't move that thing. We can solve that problem.
Yeah.
We don't, like, literally. It's not mysterious or anything like that. We can solve it.
Right. So this is a great time to bring up that May is in fact Mental Health Month, right? And with so much going on in the world and so many people stressed, especially women, right? Because that's what I'm speaking for at this very moment, at least. Women need a lot of support. And I think that it's a great time to start thinking about how we support each other, not necessarily through economics, but that, of course, but just social and emotional growth, being there for each other, making sure that we understand that, you know, we're not alone in the stresses that we share together. I have a group called WAGE that I started about a year ago, and that acronym stands for Women Advocating for Gender Equality. It's basically a political education group that empowers women. And of course, the word wage, right? We always concerned of making sure that our wages, you know, are equitable to that of our counterparts. However, we want to make sure that we're educating the community, especially the young ladies that we have in the community. I am so proud to say that I have an entire group of young women that are working on Councilwoman Gail Cheneyfield's campaign right now. They're at the polls, they're knocking on doors, and just to have them participatory in the process is huge, because I remember being that age, right? I always voted ever since I was 18, but I didn't know really who I was voting for. I wasn't an informed voter. So what that allows me to do is make sure that other women, young women, are not, you know, doing that. And by dealing with the younger women, of course, you deal with their parents. So parents are on board, and everyone's excited about the campaign. You know, we saw people that support both teams, you know, out on, you know, working at the polls, and, you know, it's love, you know, it's love, you know, it's not personal, and, you know, I think it's a fantastic
Sheila, I
thing.
want to say something.
Sure.
When you were collecting petitions out there to become a candidate for running for mayor, right, and your love for the city was stronger than not becoming a candidate, and that's why you continue, and I commend you for that.
Thank you.
I also commend you that what you just finished saying right now, you know, you are teaching and empowering the new generation of young women,
Right.
okay, and that's what this is all about,
Right.
because they're experiencing right now probably the first time in their life what true democracy is.
Right.
Okay, and how is it that you obtain? They're obtainable. Today is one of those days that your help and those young ladies' help is going to be very, very, very welcome, because it's necessary. I'm sure that none of them are getting paid.
None of them are getting paid.
They're all volunteer work, and they're doing it because they believe that the time has arrived for women to lead this city.
Right.
Just like I feel. And you feel it because you're a woman, but I feel it because at this time the direction that the city is going obviously has to be handed over to someone that understands what real pain is.
Right.
That understand
so,
what these young ladies have been through and are going through.
Right.
And this is why I commend you.
Right. And so we're really excited, right? Because like I said, not only are young women involved, but when you have an increasing amount of young women and their parents involved, that is a win. Okay, we look at that as significant increase in terms of people involved and knowledgeably involved in politics. So that is a win for anybody who think that that's not a win. And in terms of this show is an absolutely wonderful vehicle for pushing toward that agenda in our communities. I have personally been a witness to watch the viewing audience grow exponentially. And that means that not only are people tuning in, but they're tuning in on a regular basis. And if that is happening, which the numbers clearly show, right, there's data to support that, then that means that their knowledge about politics is growing. And that is the win. You're not going to define a win by who won, because let me tell you something. Our current mayor is the mayor. He may have won the seat that time, but he has not won the respect of the people. So when we talk about wins, let's make sure we're clear on what a win looks like.
Right. So here's a quote by the former First Lady, Michelle Obama. In light of the last election, I'm concerned about us as women. What is going on in our heads that we let that happen? What are girls dreaming about when the most qualified person running was a woman, and look what we did. And look what we did. And look what we did. And so that should echo.
Right.
When we look at what's going on in Newark and how there is amongst this men's club a lack of support for women, the fact that former mayor, in supporting whoever he chose to support, decided to demean a woman. When we look at state races, whether we're talking about Tamara Harris or the other young lady who runs South Jersey, the Democratic Party has abandoned them, right? You know, meanwhile, and I said this yesterday, we had Phil Murphy come here and say that it was impossible for him to win if he did not have the support and the vote of women. So what are you doing?
Today's the day.
What are you doing?
So I would like to also add to that point. We were happily, of course, involved in that movement as well, with Bessie Walker, again, Councilwoman Gail Cheney, Phil Jenkins, and a lot of other women here who spearheaded that Women for Phil Murphy campaign. And I was actually one of the people that was in the room when we said, hey, you know, what are you going to give us back in return? We would like to have somebody to also, you know, be involved and run, you know, for all of the work that we're putting in. And it was actually considered. And that is how we actually got, you know, Shillard Oliver to be one of the people that he said, you know what, yeah, we can do that.
Wow.
Well, so...
And listen, you need to understand that the women as a whole, they weren't looking for that. In the beginning, they were just, you know, we were helping and we were trying to get, you know, a governor in a seat. So us together, you know, help make that happen.
Well, no, you're 100% right, but there was a phone call.
He came and turned his back.
No, but there was a phone call. So
no, I don't agree with that.
Be clear about what happened to Phil Murphy. Phil Murphy was waffling on that, and there were a bunch of black women, I believe 100 of them or so, who were part of sororities, who said that they were going to issue phone calls and letters. And it was because of that. It was that movement of those 100+ women that buckled the knees of Phil Murphy and made Phil Murphy say, okay, I'm going to go with you.
In addition to what they did, because let me tell you something. If the women that were based here in Newark
That's right.
have not taken that decision, Eric,
That's right.
the governor said, it doesn't matter. Because one thing I know about the governor, because I met with him also, okay, was that he knew that he needed Newark completely. Not only the African American community, but the Latino Puerto Rican community. And if it wasn't for these women putting it right on the line and letting them know, listen, what do we get for it? Okay, the Phil Murphy would have said, you get nothing. Right. But because those are 100 women that belong to sororities and belong to, actually they're not from Newark. And the majority are not from Newark.
Right.
But these strong women that we have right now advocating for Gail Cheney Field, they don't play no game, because I myself have witnessed who these women are.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, if Gail Cheney Field wins today,
When she wins.
today, we gotta thank this powerful women, the Minnie Mandelas of Newark, New Jersey.
Right.
Okay, that's what we gotta think, because these women, they're not playing no games.
Right.
They're the one putting the line. They put it right on the line. You want to go back and forth? We're here. They're also the women that been holding the ground firm for many elections. Okay, and many causes. So when I hear Ms. Montague say what she just say, I know exactly what she's talking about, because I see it, I feel it. There's the Donna Jackson that just stands up and fight to the end. There's the Ms. Montague right here that stand and fight to the end. Doesn't matter how much they get ridiculed, because that's what makes Newark. And right now, if every woman out there in the city of Newark with the voting power in the city of Newark vote for Gail Cheney Field, you guys won.
Right.
You guys won.
Right. And I just want to say, to just add on to what you said, which was incredible, that you have to, if you fall down 8 times, you got to get up 9. That's what happens in a fight, right? Sometimes you may lose a round, sometimes you may win the round, but you have to keep fighting. And then a lot of people, they want to give up. Oh, I'm moving. No, I'm not moving. I'm not going anywhere. We're going to fight until we can't fight anymore. So right now, this current day, we're fighting to get make history and have our first female, right, African-American mayor. But after this day, we're going to continue to push. We're going to continue to fight and advocate for county executives and different assembly people and different people that we're going to need in these seats that share our common interests, right? And we're going to start to build more capital to make sure that we have a voice in all of these seats. When I met Phil Murphy, I went all the way to AC. Now, some of you might not think that's a big deal, but that was the longest drive that I took all by myself, because it was important. All of the things that we went through with Christie, that I needed to meet the candidate that was going to be running for governor. I went down there and met him, and I told him, I said, listen, we need you to come to Newark. And he tried. At first he couldn't, and I'm not going to go into that story because I'm sure we all know it. But the point is, that was all premeditated by a conversation that we had. That when I walked in the room, it was not that many African-American people there at all. I had my afro in full bloom, and his conversation changed to acknowledge the fact that he saw me into the room. And I think that that's one thing that we also have to do. We feel that we need to change ourselves and change our persona. No, you show up as you are. Right. You show up as you are with these people.
So listen, we didn't take our 11 o'clock break. We're at 11:13 now. Okay. I think that this piece by Adam Clayton Powell is apropos for today.
As I know here, you're in trouble, where it says about 30% are unemployed. That's why I'm working hard to get this surplus food here. Some of you say to me, well, I'm not like you. I'm not a congressman. I haven't got education. I haven't got work. But you're a human being. And you know what you've got? You've got in your hand the power to use your vote and to use even those few cents you get from welfare to spend them only where you want to spend them. A young slave boy stood one day before the greatest ruler of his day. And God said to Moses, what's in your hand? And Moses said, Lord, only I've got a stick, that's all. He said, well, let me use what's in your hand. And God used that slave boy with a stick in his hand to divide the Red Seas, march through a wilderness, bring water out of rocks, manna from heaven, and bring his people to freedom land. What's in your hand? What's in your hand? George Washington Carver, who was so frail that he was traded for a broken down horse as a slave boy. And George Washington Carver, sitting in the science laboratory at Tuskegee, told me, he said, Dr. Powell, he said, I just go out in the fields each morning at 5 o'clock, and I let God guide me. And I bring back these little things and work them over my laboratory, and that man did more to revolutionize the agricultural science of peanuts and of cotton and sweet potato than any other human being in the field of agricultural science. What's in your hand? Just let God use you, that's all. What's in your hand? I've got a string in my hand, that's all, and I'm flying a kite. And way up in the heavens, lightning strikes it. And I, Benjamin Franklin, discover for the first time the possibilities of electricity with a string in my hand. What's in your hand? Little hunchback sitting in a Roman jail? I haven't got anything in my hand but an old quill pen, but God says, write what I tell you to write. Paul wrote, I have run my race with patience. I've finished my course. I've kept the faith. Henceforth there's laid up for me a What's in your hand, little boy? All I've got is a slingshot. And the enemies of my people are great and big and more numerous than we are. Well, little David, go down to the brook and pick out a few stones and come on back and close your eyes if you want to and pull back that slingshot and let it go. And David killed the biggest enemy, the leader of the giants, against his people, and his people became free, just letting God guide a stone in his hand. And a few years passed and David is a king. And God says, what's in your hand? He said, I've got a harp in my hand. He said, well, David, play on your harp. And he played, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Leadeth me beside still waters. Yea, though I walk through the valley in the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil. What's in your hand? What's in your hand? Man hanging on a cross. I've got 2 nails in my hand. Father, I stretch my hands to thee. No other help I know. If thou withdraws thyself from me, whither shall I go? And that man, with 2 nails in his hand, split history in half, BC and AD. And what's in your hand tonight, people of Cambridge? You've got God in your hand, and he'll let you win, because he's on your side and one with God. Always in the majority, so walk with him, and talk with him, and work with him, and stick together, and fight together. And with God's hand in your hand, the victory will be accomplished here sooner than you dreamed, sooner than you hoped, sooner than you prayed for.
What's in your hand?
All right.
What's in your hand? What is in your
It's
hand?
true. I always think about
Let's
that.
take this call. Hello, call. Thank you for being patient.
Hey, good morning, Eric. Good morning, Sheila. Good morning.
Good morning.
Butchie, this is Farrakhan.
Hey.
How you doing, Maurice?
Hey, what's going on, brother?
I know you guys are talking about the election today, but I just want to say, going to the speech you just gave, again, I know I always get it up. You hear the speech from the 60s, right? That's a speech from the 60s. And the problems he's talking about in the 1960s, before I was born, so we're talking 45 or longer years ago, okay? And we still have the exact same problems, 30%.
We understand
So
that.
what I'm saying is this: if what he's saying, like if you're saying vote, we could vote then, and it hasn't helped. That being in our hand hasn't helped. What will help? When will we come up with something new that changes this conversation? Because we've had the voters, we've had that for many years now, and it has done little to nothing to change the predicament. And that's what I'm saying. And I'm not saying we have to give up on voting, but at some point, we either have to deal with the fact that that is not the solution, because we've had it for 50 years
Right.
or more,
Right.
and it has not done anything.
Got it. Thanks for the call. We're not saying that it is the only solution.
Yeah, that's
But it's not the only solution.
at her.
But if you're not voting. So if you don't come out today, and again, it's triage, right? So we see that our community is bleeding out right now. And so the very first thing you want to do when you see somebody loses their arm gets cut off, the first thing you want to do is you want to go tie a tourniquet. That's the first thing you want to do. So now you can have the conversation, Farrakhan, and say, well, the tourniquet's not going to put the arm back on, the tourniquet's not going to do this, but the tourniquet's going to stop the bleeding. And then once you stop the bleeding, you can begin to talk about other solutions. Right? But right now, today, when we're having the conversation, we say, if we understand shootings every day, a body found yesterday or day before in Vailsburg Park. Right, we say we have to, what's in your hand? If you have a tourniquet in your hand, and that tourniquet is your right to be able to go out and to vote, then you go do that. And now after we do that, then we sit down and we talk about what the next step is. But to do as Maurice said, some of the people that he encountered said, oh, we're going to bypass that today. Then no, you can't do that, because then the patient bleeds out. So you have to tie the tourniquet and then have the discussion. But the question I would ask before you get on is this. After the election, brother, I'd like to see you be a part of a round table to have a discussion, right? Exactly. So don't sit on the porch throwing pebbles, right? Then be a part of the discussion tomorrow, about what proposed solutions.
Right. So I just want to add, okay, so he said that the voting is not going to fix it, and you said it, and I'm going to say it again. Voting alone won't, but let's just look at a basketball game, a football game, just for analogy. You can't get on a championship floor or, court or wherever and think, I'm going to have one play and we're going to win. No, so you need multiple plays, right? You need a combination of plays, and this effort is going to be one that is multitasked, right? And there's a lot of multitasking that go on. Recently, I gave a West Ward community forum for the candidates that were running for West Ward, and there were so many people that said, I want to come, I want to see who these candidates are, but the day was so beautiful, right? And not to mention, we got shut down in the park. And that's something else that I want to fight toward, because I don't understand how community engagement is not welcome, at a park. But we had it in our backyard. And the point is, so many people said they were going to come. A lot of people came, but a lot of people didn't come. So we have people who say that they want change, but ultimately they're not doing what they say that they want to do. There weren't enough, that backyard should have been packed. Because you don't know who you're voting for.
Right, but we got to move on, and we got to figure out the solutions. And so
wait.
Today, I don't want to.
Don't cut me off, Eric. Let me finish
but
my
we need to talk about today.
Okay, but we're talking about today because today is election day. If they did not come to that backyard to meet those other candidates, who are they voting for if they don't know them personally? And so today doesn't start today. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
No, but what I'm saying is, let's tie the tourniquet.
With the commitment of multitasking, not only being a mom, if I could just finish, being a mom, being a parent, working where you work, because these are all the things that people say they're too busy to come to. And what I'm saying is, ultimately, is that you have to make the time. If you want to see change, you said it's not happening in 40 years. What can change? Make the time, make the commitment, put it on your to-do list that you're going to be physically involved.
But I'm going to say that to make today. But that's what I'm saying. Today, the change, whatever change is going to occur starts today.
Right.
It starts today. Right, and then we can have all those other conversations about how to engage people, how to get them involved, how to educate them, how to do whatever. We have to literally go and tie these tourniquets, drag people to the polls. This is urgent today. You were going to say something, Maurice?
I'm sorry. I'm saying it's easy to sit from the sidelines and criticize, but if you're not going to get up here and put the work in
today,
you might as well basically censor yourself.
Put the work in today.
And this is something that a lot of people fought for us to have the right to do so.
Right.
So to not participate.
And so the question that I would ask Farrakhan is, did you shut your barbershop down today? What's in your hand?
Not even just today.
No, today. See, this is what I'm saying.
No, definitely today, but just all around.
No, but we're talking today. See, this is the distraction. I don't want to talk about what he's going to do tomorrow, because tomorrow's going to be different if we don't handle business today.
Yeah.
See, we keep talking about tomorrow and the next day and whatever. Today. Did you shut your barbershop down and drag 20 people to the polls today? Are you doing that today? Because if you're not doing that today, tomorrow's not promised.
Absolutely.
Today.
And Sheila, today, you need to get in contact with those folks that told you that we're going to come to the forum and
Make sure they
guarantee
get
that
out and
they
vote.
get out and vote
Well, not
today.
only that, yeah. So they're definitely voting. I'm
Awesome.
definitely using everything that's in my hand.
Awesome.
You know, we use the different apps that we have. We use the different apps that we have that are at our disposal. I personally love GroupMe. I'm probably grouped up with like 100 different groups.
Good.
And you know, we share the information, and definitely we share the get out the vote information.
And the
as well.
conversation is today.
Right.
Okay, because we could talk about all the ideologies of what could have, what should have, and what didn't get done. But what could be done today is come out and vote. This is, like, to me, all I want to talk about is, did you come out and vote today? How we feel about this and that? I don't want to hear that. Why? Because today is a crucial day. And if we get blindsided by conversations that are not relative to today, come out and vote today, we're going to lose in the midst of conversation. This is how I feel. That's why, like I've been saying it all week, listen, did you get your 10 people that you're going to come out and ask them to vote and make sure that they vote today? That's what's important.
And if you haven't
today.
done that, then don't talk to me about organizing some people and doing something tomorrow. Get your 10 people today.
Today. Because tomorrow, if these folks are in City Hall right now, if they get in there again, there is not going to be no tomorrow. Okay, when it comes to putting anything together. Because if you think they blocked you for these past 4 years for this community to move forward, imagine what they're going to do after tomorrow if they get in. Because they're going to consider it as a mandate. Right. We could do whatever we want with you because guess what? We got voted in again. No, today, the conversation is today. Actually, if anybody's going to call in with good news. I brought in 1 people. I brought in 10 people. I brought in 20 people to the polls. That's what we need to talk about today.
Right. And so that's one of the reasons why the young ladies that are working at the polls today with me, they have a multitasking directive also to make sure that they're continuously calling people as well in between to make sure that people are coming out, making sure, because everybody knows 10 or 20 people that they can call to do a reminder. So everyone is using groups. Everyone is doing everything within their power to try to make sure that we get the change that we need and deserve in the city of Newark.
Listen, I probably got about a little over 1,000, 1,200 contacts on my phone. When I get off here, I'll be calling people again, texting people all day. So when you're sitting there and you're watching your soap opera or you're doing whatever you're doing, you don't need to be at somebody's campaign headquarters to phone bank. You can phone bank from your, but that's what, those are the things that I'm talking about, Maurice. Today, things that everybody give them solutions today that they can do.
Look,
get your
we
phone.
We got people out already. We got people in the Southwood. We got people.
And while they're walking, but even while they're walking to go knock on doors, text and phone call people. Don't just knock on the doors and then if you got 30 houses that you're going to be hitting, in between those houses, text another 2 people. In between those houses, call another 4 people.
Email. You know, the urgency today is to, 1, remind people to come out and vote, especially if those people, you get in contact with those people that have already told you, has committed themselves, no, I'm going to vote for Gail. You got to now make sure that they do. And we have the power all in our hand, all in our ability to do it, because it can't get any easier. The hardest part about all of this is to get them to the voting booth. That is the hardest part. And it's not that hard if each folks that you got, Sheila, and then you got Maurice, come and bring 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 people, 20 people, forget it, man. We're going to be victorious because this is work. Like, you know how beautiful it will be for me to know that Terrence Bankston won the South?
Oh, he's going to win.
Oh my God. You just don't know. You just don't know how good I will feel about that. Because this is a young man. This is a young man that from my eyes, from my 27 years, now 28 years, involved into politics, deserved to be there. Because he have worked. And he is such a smart, intelligent young man that those are the folks that our young folks need to look at.
Absolutely.
Because he's only running in the South, but he's being looked at throughout the whole city and throughout the whole state. And this is what we need, because let me tell you something. Today, the status quo, the machine, they're counting on the seniors. They're counting on the sequestered vote that they got inside the buildings, you know, the citizen building. They're counting on that. But if the young folks come out to vote, man, you guys are going to make a difference. And on top of that, there's more women, young women in the city of Newark than there's male, and then there's senior. If they exercise their vote for Gail Cheney Field, she and we are going to be victorious.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
If folks sitting here on Facebook, posting memes, now's not the time to do that. Now's the time to get on the battlefield. There is a fight going on today. We talked about it here on the Eric Dawson Radio Show 18 months ago, that this day was going to come, and that this day is truly a war for the very heart and soul of the city of Newark. You all know the people who are being intimidated. You all know the people who are being abused. You all know the people who are being threatened. You all know these people. There's 6 degrees of separation within the city of Newark. You know, it was crazy. Dee Dee was in here yesterday, and we kept talking, found out that we share a cousin.
Oh, wow.
Now, I've known this woman for... Right.
I know her from my docs years when I used to own docs in downtown Newark.
And found out that we share a cousin. So there truly is 6 degrees of separation. So to know the people who are in pain, you don't have to reach far. So you know that they're in pain. The question is, what are you going to do? What's in your hand? What is in your hand?
Your vote is in your hand. The power. The most powerful thing that you could do in this 2018 election, if you live in the city of Newark, is exercise your vote. Okay, rock that vote. Don't let happen what happened in the election that we got Trump, because Trump won because a lot of people said, I'm not voting. Because if the people came out and vote, trust me, then we won't be living a Trump madness as we are right now, okay? And we also live in a Trump madness right here in the city of Newark.
Well, you know, another piece to that is also that in many of those states where he won by like 1%, you know, close to a little over, we had another female candidate that was also running, and that split votes from Hillary Clinton. And that's one of the reasons that I said I wanted to just step out and make sure that we work together as a collective to make sure that we support the better and common good for the city. And I think that that is huge, because more of us have to stop seeing ourselves as, oh, I don't like what's going on, so I'm going to run for office. No, my run for office was basically to let people understand that I could, that I was able to go out there. And let me explain something. I got close to 1,700 petitions, and it was not hard at all. So when you're talking about, you know, this mayoral run, it just wasn't hard. The people are ready for change, and that's a fact. That data comes straight from, like I said, every day when I got off work, just being committed to be out there. Sometimes I was out there 3, 4 in the morning, catching people on the way to work. So yes, people want change. People want people in charge that they feel is going to protect their common interests. And we need some mothering. Let's be honest. Our city has been battered and abused by so many different ways. We need someone to care. We don't need people, we don't need the arrogance. We don't need people bragging about, yay, we won. No, we need people that are gonna step up and do the work. And that's one thing I can say about Gail Cheney, Phil Jenkins. Anytime that she was on that dais, and maybe sometimes I didn't agree with maybe one little thing here or there, but the thing is, she read the information. She was making informed decisions. She knew what she was talking about, and she cast her vote not based on what someone else thought or tried to intimidate her to do. She always stood her ground. And I can only respect that as a woman, and that's one of the main reasons I'm supporting her today.
Well, at the end of the day, it's still a matter of what people are going to do.
God help me with what I'm getting ready to say, but I'm going to say it. Mother, if you don't step down today, you have been there too long, Miss Crump. You're not doing anything but making sure that you get your gravy train pension. You're already going to get it. Get out the way. There's somebody younger who wants to represent women and wants to represent this city, get in that seat. And I'm your daughter, and I can say it, you don't like it, too bad. Because you don't control me. Now, for the rest of y'all, Joe, we already got somebody to run against you. We already working on a person for the North Ward. Y'all Latinos over there in the North, y'all better wake up too. Because y'all getting y'all butt kicked just as much as we are. People down in the East Ward, y'all better wake up. Because at the end of the day, we all live here. Y'all keep talking about One North. I can't stand. Because One North is going through hell right now. Now lastly, I want y'all to ride through downtown and see how damn beautiful it is. And then I want y'all to walk through your own neighborhood and see how bad it is. Why can't we get these abandoned houses abated, Mr. Baraka? Why can't we get somebody to live in abandoned houses, Mr. Baraka? Why can't you take city employees that live in City Hall, that live in the city of Newark, not like Mr. Muhammad, who live in Roselle, some Northers, and let Northers get a house, Mr. Baraka? Why can't you clean up these vacant lots, Mr. Baraka? Why can't you get up all this illegal dumping, Mr. Baraka? Our city looks horrible, and I am tired, and I'm not going to be silent. I don't care if nobody else in North don't say nothing. I don't care if they feel personal about you. I don't give a damn. It's enough, and enough is enough, and enough is enough. And I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I'm getting ready to bring the heat. And if you people don't get off your lazy asses and get out here and hold these people in City Hall accountable, we having all these damn festivals, 24 hours a piece. We got money to pay a DJ. We got money to buy book bags. We got money for this and money for that. We can't help the homeless. We can't help the families. We don't have no drug program for people who really want to go into a drug program. Mr. Baraka, we've been talking about these issues, dealing with these issues since the early 90s, sir. It is a disgrace that you are now the mayor. And you can't even know the history of Mayor Maynard Jackson in Atlanta, Raz. That's what you were supposed to do now. You're supposed to take a page from Maynard, Raz. You're supposed to have some black millionaires in this town, Raz. You're supposed to have some Latino millionaires in this town, Raz. Stop carrying your ass down there to the port. Raz. You ain't gonna get nothing because you don't know how to negotiate, Raz. But what you could do, you could have put 300 people to work in one day. 300 people to work, and let me give it to you. Since Mr. Muhammad, you pay him all that money, and he don't know his head from his throat. You go right up there to NJIT. They putting up a 5,000-seat arena, Mr. Baraka, 5,000-seater. Maybe you didn't know that. Why can't black people own nothing downtown, Mr. Baraka? And you damn right that's on your foot, boy. On your foot and on your... Because I'm on your ass. Be ready.
I don't really have much to say. I'm going to make it short because Donna pretty much has been saying this for years.
So I want to say this, Stephanie Gully. Welcome back to listening to the Eric Dawson Radio Show. I see you posting heavily in the thread, and you are a true sister on the battlefield, fighting for liberation of folks who are being oppressed here in Essex County by the Essex County political machine. And I want you to know that I've been in touch with David Tucker Sr. And after we take care of business today, we will begin to organize around the issues in not only Orange, New Jersey, in preparation for the 2020 race there, but we're going to begin to focus more of our attention on Bloomfield as well. And I hope to be able to partner with you as we begin to expose, all of the treachery that is taking place in Bloomfield, New Jersey. But today, right now, we ask again, what is in your hands? And I agree with somebody in the post who said the people will speak and decide today. But the question is, what people? What people are going to speak and what people are going to decide? Are you going to allow the people who are benefiting, who are literally gorging at the government trough? Are you going to allow them to decide the fate of Newark? Or those of you who are part of the 80% renters who were afraid of being priced out of your homes, are you going to speak louder than them? Are you who are part of those who are making $34,000 a year, because that is the median income in Newark, are you going to speak louder than them? Are you who are part of the 36% impoverished, are you going to speak louder than them? Are you who are suffering the pain of having lost children and loved ones in the streets of Newark because we don't have adequate leadership, are you going to speak louder than them? What is in your hand? So yes, there will be a voice. There will be a resounding voice today, and there will be a winner. But much like I said in 2014, the person who won didn't represent a win for Newarkers. Newarkers lost that day. And we see the consequences. The consequences, the reverberating consequences. So yeah, we could talk about those who won $135,000 salary for this one, $120,000 salary for that one.
The lawsuits.
No. I'm talking about the money that people
money
are
that they
making.
making.
I'm talking about, $5 million for security and personal protection. So those people won. There's no doubt that there were some winners. But when I drive up, and when you, forget about me, when you walk out your house, you're not benefiting from any of that. You're losing. You're losing. And the fact that they have the audacity to look at the loss and try to flip it into a win for you, to try to convince you that your child who walked across the stage and got a diploma, but they need to take remedial courses, that somehow you won. Somehow you won. That somehow the filthy streets, the pothole-ridden streets that you're driving over, the front end of your car is now bent and needs repair. But they want to tell you that you won.
That the crime is down.
What's in your hand? And I'm going to tell you, go back to what I said about that elephant. See, that is what they're counting on. They're counting on the fact that they have conditioned you so much that irrespective of what I say, what Butchie has said, what Maurice has said, what Sheila has said today, what countless other people say, that your conditioning is such that just like if you walked up to a big elephant and you said to the elephant, come on, move, elephant, you could, that elephant is so conditioned, so dysfunctional at this point, that he doesn't understand how grand and mighty he is.
And that's your vote. That grand and mighty is your vote. Okay? This elephant is you. You could do this. It just takes for you to come out and vote and bring a minimum of 10 people with you.
They could do it, but are they really going to do it?
Oh,
That's
you know something? Sometimes we need to be enlightening. Sometimes we need to hear it. Sometimes we need to feel it, that there is hope. Because what's happening now, that elephant feels like the machine that's out there is more powerful than you. That machine would not be out there exercising their power if it wasn't for you. So we could change this. Absolutely. We need to come out and vote for Gail Cheneyfield Jenkins. We need to do that today.
Absolutely.
The idea that they will tell you that there is no intimidation. Meanwhile, you see post after post after post by a candidate who is telling you, I can't get into this senior building. They're not allowing me into this senior building. Meanwhile, we know that they've held meet and greets in the senior building. I want you to understand, this is how absolutely corrupt it is, but beyond being corrupt, this is how little they think of you. That you'll look at that video and somehow you were so dysfunctional in your thinking that they can walk up to you and tell you, that ain't true. That ain't true.
Or call it politics.
No. They don't call it politics. They just say it's not true. They literally just say, come on,
it's either
stop
not
it.
true or it's been like this for every administration.
No,
like,
they are saying it is not true. They are saying every candidate has a right to go in those buildings.
Yeah.
That's not
and
true.
that's not true.
It's not true. Let me just say
but
something.
they said the streets were clean, but that's not true.
There's when there's no storm.
But it wasn't
we cleaned
true.
it.
They said that the water is not
contaminated,
but it's not true.
But that's not true. Okay.
But what I'm curious to find out about is, even though they go in the buildings, right, and the other candidates don't have access or not allowed to, even the community locations, why is it that we can't have community engagement to share information about whatever candidates are running? Because as a district leader, I definitely wasn't there to endorse any West Ward candidate. I live in the West Ward. I wanted to hear their platforms, just like many other people wanted to hear. But why is it that when we go to the facilities that are with HUD, yes, they can have birthday parties, they can have all of these other things, but they can't have that type of community engagement event?
Got it. But you know what? If today, if people go out and vote today, so back to Farrakhan. What can we do about that? Well, it starts today. Tying the tourniquet today, because we're bleeding out today, right? And the idea of resolving that issue is having new leadership today. Today.
Because that's basically against the law. Okay, if you let one do it, you gotta let them all do it. Actually, because they get HUD money. Okay, they need to have an open forum. If they're gonna have it for one, they have to have it for all. But no, we don't have leadership that'll take on that kind of fight.
And
okay?
we're talking about leadership.
Well, that's what today comes in.
But we're talking about leadership at the executive, the legislative, and the judicial branch. See, so it all has to change, because when you go to take your, much like whether it's Sonia Vera or somebody else who goes and tries to file a report, or when Victor Monterosa's wife tried to go and figure out what was going on, and you have at that branch of government folks shutting you down. See, all of that ends today. Today. You want to change it, you change it today. Because if you don't change it today, then we will be arguing about the fact that there are people that they have put in places that prohibit us from going into places and talking to people, and the threats will continue about Section 8 vouchers and all kinds of all of that will continue. So the bleeding out of our community will continue if we don't tie the tourniquet today.
Today is so important, because if you have something that has hurt you in the process of living in the state of North, understand that some people will claim that politics is not the answer to everything. Well, I disagree with you. Because without politics, without having the proper leadership in the politician position, in a leadership position, they're not going to advocate for what's good for the community. Especially if you got folks that lied to you 2014 and keep on continue lying to you all the way to 2018. And if you elect them again, if we allow them to get elected again, because it's not that you elect them. If we allow them to get elected again, okay, it's going to continue and it's going to get worse. But you change that today. Today, you got to go out and vote today. Why I keep on repeating today? Because if today passes and you stood at home and you had all these gripes against the administration that exists right now in City Hall, and you did nothing at the minimum is to get out with yourself, your family, and 10 other people to come out and vote for change, then guess what? Then don't complain ever again. Because I know Butchie, he's done what he has to do to change the status quo. He's done what he has to do to make sure that folks know what the truth is. He's done what he has to do to make sure that everyone knows about what's going on. Because I don't come here twice a week and sit with Eric Dawson and his show just because I have nothing else to do. No, I do this because the community needs to know. Like I told Eric Dawson a while back, you need someone like that looks like me in your show so they could hear what is going on, because there's a lot of folks that'll say that's not true, but I'm telling you, we need to bring in Gail Cheneyfield today.
The North Ward, the South Ward, the East Ward, the Central Ward, the West Ward. It is time for you to stand up today.
Absolutely.
Not tomorrow. Today. Today. And I'm telling you, and Donna, I see you in the thread, and I appreciate the fact that you came on the show and we were able to come together for this thing, and I hope that that's not the end of us working together to try to resolve this thing. Our communities are bleeding out. Not just in Newark, but throughout Essex County, and we have to address them all, but not today. Today, we address Newark. Today, we take care of Newark. Today, we tie that tourniquet. We get rid of the foul stench that exists in 920 Broad Street today.
And Donna, you know, like I asked you plenty of times to come into the show, and I'm glad you did when I was away. I would have wished you would have came when I was here, but I'm gonna tell you something. I'm a full supporter of your candidacy. I know you're writing. You gotta tell your folks to make sure to look at the bottom of the machine after they cast and they press that write-in button, to look in the bottom where they type your name. It's very important, okay? And good luck to you. But remember, Donna, we gotta change the mayor. We gotta bring in Gail Cheneyfield. We have to do that.
10 people, guys. Each person go get 10 people. Go get them. Each person that's listening to this show, get off your ass, walk your block, knock on the doors on your block.
Right.
If you just knocked on the doors on your block, if you don't have any literature, go on somebody's Facebook page and print something out, and then walk down your block. Now's not the time to go and try to find $75 or $100 to work on a campaign. That's short-sighted.
And I want to talk about that a little bit as well, because there have been so many people who have been complaining about the crime, and not just the crime, but the fact that it hasn't even been addressed by the current administration. But then I'm out today and I see a few of these same people, thank you. And I see a few of these same people with the administration's hat on and with the t-shirt on and passing out flyers. You can't, you either gotta not like what's going on and you're upset, like you clearly post all the time on social media, and you want to do something about it, or I'm upset, but you could pay me off for $150 or $175. All money is not good money, and you got to think, if you can't call that man a sellout if you're going to come out here and support something for a day that's going to hurt our community for $150.
You know what though? But we got to let those people go.
Yeah.
Those people, you know what? They have made a decision about what they're going to do. So when
No. So I'm going to address it. You shut me down for every point that I make. Listen,
well, because this is my show, and then I got to keep it organized, though, right?
But people are watching,
right,
and I just want them to know that they can be empowered and don't have to take the money.
They don't have to take the money.
And yes, it's your show, but that's the only point
But they don't
I
have to
wanted
take the money. But I don't want to give those people the power. I don't want to give them the time. What I'd rather do is say, you know what, for every one person that's doing what you said, Sheila, let's go find 15 people who are not doing it, and let's empower them. Let's take them and tell them, don't be that little elephant. Let's tell those people. So the people that we comment and we give the power on the show who come in as provocateurs, I don't want to deal with them. The idea is to have the conversation about what we can do to empower ourselves, minus them. We already know who they are.
My point
we
is
know
always
that they're
education.
evil.
No, the
we
people
know
that are out
evil.
are not evil because they're economically strapped.
No,
See, we're talking about two different things.
what I'm going to say is this. If you, listen, what I'm going to say to you is this. A drug dealer who is dealing drugs in the community, I understand that they're economically stressed, but they're selling poison to the community, and we have to be clear about that. And what I'm saying is this. We could talk about people who are economically stressed, and so they got to go get $150. But if they're selling poison to the community, the reality is they're selling poison to the community. And what I want to say is we need to identify that they're selling poison, and then we need to educate the people who are buying the poison from them. I know I'm not going to be able to stop the drug dealer from selling the poison unless I have something of equal or greater value to give them, but I can educate the community.
But that's the problem, because this morning I turned around a lot of people who were out there making the money, and I was able to tell them, you know what, take the money and do the right thing. And let me tell you, and many of them, 9 out of 10 said that's exactly what we're doing.
That's exactly the way I would
so that message is important. Yeah. You know, it is very important.
I was going to tell you. I was going to say, no, Sheila, you can turn that around completely.
Yeah,
take the money, but you know what to do. Okay, you know what time, because right now you will not need that money if the jobs and the opportunity will be being advocated for citizens of the city of North. Because what's happening, those folks that need those coins today, they don't see no future, because the leadership there is not supplying future for them. Okay, and that's when Sheila said that, absolutely.